What you're about to witness might be the most disrespectful power play in WWE history, and nobody's talking about it. Welcome back to WrestleScope, where we expose the truth that WWE doesn't want you to see. I'm your host, and today we're breaking down a backstage betrayal that's about to tear apart one of the most dangerous factions in wrestling. Brock Lesnar, the beast incarnate, the part-timer, the man who shows up when he wants and leaves when he wants, has somehow positioned himself as the leader of the Vision. And guess what? Bronn Breaker, the young lion who's been carrying this brand on his back, is absolutely furious about it. Before we expose this travesty, smash that like button if you're tired of part-timers stealing opportunities from full-time superstars. And if this makes your blood boil as much as mine, drop a comment telling me who should really be leading the Vision. The setup. Let me paint you a picture of what's happening behind the scenes at WWE headquarters right now. Picture this: smoke-filled rooms, heated discussions, and one young superstar being told to step aside for a legend who barely shows up to work. The Vision was supposed to be Bronn Breaker's vehicle to superstardom. This faction was built around the idea of young, hungry, dominant athletes who would reshape WWE in their image. Breaker, the second-generation superstar with Steiner blood running through his veins, was the obvious choice to lead this group into battle. But here's where it gets absolutely ridiculous, folks. WWE Creative, in their infinite wisdom, decided that what the Vision really needs is Brock Lesnar. You know, the guy who wrestles maybe 15 times a year if we're lucky. The man who's been in the main event picture for 2 decades. The part-timer who demands millions while full-time roster members work 300 days a year for a fraction of that payday. And management had the audacity to position Lesnar not as a member, not as an advisor, but as the leader of a faction that was supposed to represent the future of WWE. Let me ask you something. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Here's what really happened, and this comes from multiple sources close to the situation. WWE wanted to give the Vision instant credibility. They wanted that mainstream attention that only a name like Brock Lesnar can bring. So they made a business decision, a corporate decision that completely undermines everything the Vision was supposed to represent. Think about this logically for a second. Bronn Breaker has been destroying everyone put in front of him. The man is a genetic freak just like his uncle Scott Steiner. He's got the look, he's got the intensity, he's got the wrestling ability, and most importantly, he's got the hunger that only a young superstar trying to make his mark can have. Breaker has been working house shows, television tapings, premium live events, meet and greets, promotional appearances. The man has been grinding while Brock Lesnar is on his farm in Saskatchewan, doing whatever Brock Lesnar does when he's not cashing WWE paychecks. And somehow, WWE looked at this situation and said, you know what? Let's give leadership to the guy who isn't here most weeks. Can you imagine the conversation in that meeting? Hey, Bron, we know you've been killing it. We know you're here every week. We know you're the future of this company. But here's the thing. We're going to need you to take a backseat to a 50-something-year-old part-timer who might show up once a month if we're lucky. The disrespect is staggering. Bronn Breaker's perspective. Now, let's talk about Bronn Breaker's reaction to all of this, because this is where the story gets really interesting. According to sources backstage, and I'm talking about people who are in those production meetings, people who see the day-to-day interactions, Bronn Breaker is seething. And can you blame him? Imagine you're Bronn Breaker. You've grown up in the wrestling business. Your father, Rick Steiner, is a legend. Your uncle, Scott Steiner, is a legend. You've heard the stories, you've lived the lifestyle, and you've dedicated your entire life to being better than both of them. You come into WWE with all the expectations in the world on your shoulders. People are immediately comparing you to your family. They're watching every move you make, waiting for you to fail, waiting to say he's not as good as his dad, or he'll never be as entertaining as his uncle. But what does Bron do? He exceeds every expectation. He dominates NXT. He becomes one of the youngest NXT champions in history. He moves up to the main roster and immediately makes an impact. The crowd is behind him. The ratings go up when he's featured. Merchandise sales are through the roof. By every measurable metric, Bronn Breaker is a success. So naturally, WWE's response is to put someone above him in the hierarchy. Sources say that Bron confronted management about this decision, and here's what makes this even more infuriating. He was told that this is what's best for business. He was told that having Lesnar as the face of the vision would open doors that wouldn't otherwise be open. Translation: we don't think you're a big enough star yet, so we're going to use Brock Lesnar's name value while you do the actual work. One source described Bron's reaction as controlled fury. He didn't blow up, he didn't storm out, but everyone in that room could feel the tension radiating off of him. This is a man who knows his worth, who knows what he brings to the table, and is being told that it's not enough. Here's something most fans don't know. Bronn Breaker has been pitching ideas for the vision since day one. He's been in creative meetings, suggesting storylines, helping develop the other members' characters, working with producers on match layouts. This man has been invested in making the vision successful because he saw it as his legacy project. And then Brock Lesnar shows up, probably after a phone call that lasted all of 10 minutes, and suddenly he's the leader of a faction? Can you imagine the psychological impact this has on a young performer? Breaker is at a crucial point in his career where he needs to establish himself as a top guy, not as someone's sidekick or second in command. Every day that he's positioned below Lesnar in the hierarchy is a day that the audience is being conditioned to see him as less than. Wrestling is all about perception. Once the audience perceives you a certain way, it's almost impossible to change their minds. Ask Dolph Ziggler, ask Cesaro. Ask dozens of talented performers who were never positioned correctly and spent their entire careers trying to overcome that initial perception. Bronn Breaker is smart enough to know this. He's grown up in the business. He understands that if he's not positioned as the guy right now, during his physical prime, when the crowd is hot for him, then he might never get that opportunity again. The Brock Lesnar factor. Now, let's be fair for a moment and talk about why WWE made this decision, because it's not like they're completely crazy. There is a logic to it, even if that logic is fundamentally flawed. Brock Lesnar is one of the biggest stars in WWE history. There's no denying that. When his music hits, people pay attention. Casual fans who don't watch every week know who Brock Lesnar is. He's a mainstream name. He's a former UFC champion. He's been in the main event picture for 2 decades. He's a box office draw. From a pure business standpoint, attaching Brock Lesnar's name to anything gives it instant credibility in the eyes of casual viewers and media outlets. That's undeniable. But here's where WWE's logic falls apart completely, folks. The vision doesn't need Brock Lesnar's credibility. This faction was getting over on its own. Bronn Breaker was getting over on his own. The whole point of the vision was to establish new stars, not to prop up a legend who's already cemented his legacy. Let me give you a comparison that might make this clearer. Imagine if the NWO had made Hulk Hogan the leader from day one. Oh wait, they kinda did, and guess what? It eventually became the Hulk Hogan Show, and guys like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, who were supposed to be equals, became secondary players in Hogan's story. The same thing happened with Evolution. That group was supposed to elevate Randy Orton and Batista, but Triple H positioned himself as the top guy, and it held both of them back until they finally broke away from him. History is repeating itself, and WWE either doesn't see it or doesn't care. Here's another thing that's driving Bronn Breaker crazy. Lesnar doesn't need the vision. Lesnar's legacy is secure. Whether he leads this faction or not, he's still going to be remembered as one of the greatest WWE superstars of all time. He's still going to get his massive paychecks. He's still going to main event whenever he feels like showing up. But for Bronn, this is his moment. This is his opportunity to establish himself as a top player, and it's being hijacked by someone who already has everything Bronn is fighting for. There's also the financial aspect that nobody's talking about. Brock Lesnar's contract is reportedly worth millions per year, money that could be distributed among full-time talent who are actually building the show week after week. Money that could go to Bronn Breaker and make him feel valued by the company he's sacrificing his body for. Instead, WWE is paying him an astronomical amount to show up occasionally, stand at the front of the vision, and collect another paycheck. And here's something that's going to make your blood boil even more. There are rumors, and these are strong rumors from multiple reliable sources, that Brock Lesnar has creative control written into his contract. That means he can basically do whatever he wants with his character, regardless of what's best for the vision or what's best for Bronn Breaker. So not only is Bronn being positioned below Lesnar, But he also has no say in how their dynamic is portrayed because Brock can override any creative decision he doesn't like. How is that fair? How is that conducive to building future stars? How is that anything other than the same old WWE pattern of protecting legends at the expense of the next generation? The Vision's purpose. Let's take a step back and talk about what the Vision was supposed to be, because I think WWE has completely lost sight of the original concept. When the Vision was first teased in vignettes and backstage segments, the whole idea was youth and dominance. This was going to be a group of hungry, physically imposing athletes who would run roughshod over the established order. They were going to be the future, taking what they deserved from the present. Bronn Breaker fit that description perfectly. Young? Check. Physically imposing? Absolutely. Hungry for success? Without question. He is the